Introduce Abhijit Vinayak J. He is a final year student of Industrial Production Department at MIT Manipal. He is a freelance 3D artist and holds an expertise in Blender. If you don't already know about him, let me post the link to his website in the chat box. You can go through it. He has a lot of amazing work done in Blender, a lot of projects, which we all can appreciate. And the stage is up to you, Abhijit.
Yeah. Thank you, dude. So, yeah. Oh, wait, can you guys hear me? Hello?
Yes, Abhijit, we can hear you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So, okay, how many people are here? Okay. Okay, so, like he said, my name is Abhijit, and I am a freelance 3D artist. Also, I'm a student at Manipal Institute of Technology, currently doing my 4th year. And before I start, like I also want to make it clear that I am very much like you guys. I'm guessing like you guys are from first years to like second years or something. So I'm 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 just in 4th year, and I have Blender is not something anyone taught me. It's self-taught, and through this workshop, what I want to make it clear is that how to uh, how to get into learn something new on your own. That is the usual path when someone says, okay, I'm gonna learn something new, and I want to get expert at that. Is usually okay. Your next question is, what course do you choose, right? But I am kind of not that for it. I mean, though that's a good way to go about it. Especially workshops conducted in colleges are like a big advantage for you. And so my entire journey in Blender 3D art and everything is completely 100% from YouTube. And YouTube has been like the only place I've been learning from. And fortunately, I've been able to get into freelance and kind of have a side hustle in my college time. Uh, Especially thanks to COVID, as in like people who weren't affected were able to like upskill by sitting at home, and if they had like good internet as well. So, okay, to start with, let me give a brief intro to like Blender. Okay, to give an example, what you can do with Blender is that you see this background which is behind me is actually made on Blender, and this is something which I did during the lockdown, and and actually this is actually a building from my college, which I turned into this weird sci-fi thing. So what is the motivation for using 3D art? Like, I want to give you some incentive to even try it. Other than being a technical tool by which you can make art, and you can use it for anything technical. You can make CAD models out of it, so many things. But like an incentive for the art side of things for you. Think of it this way. It's like when you make the models and environments in Blender or any 3D software, you're basically making an alternate reality. Okay. And third part is like you get to be at a very small level. It's like playing God. It's like you create a new reality, and you become a photographer inside that, and then you send your camera running around and you take pictures. That is basically the whole field of animation or 3D art. That's how it works. And the funny part is all these parallel realities or whatever is living inside your laptop or your PC. And that's something very fascinating for me, that I get to dictate what happens in that reality and what physics happens in that reality. Like, the best part is I can wake up from a dream and like turn it into a MP4 or a PNG file. And I found that very insane, and that is kind of like my initial motivations for getting into 3D art as such. So, okay, why Blender? I mean, there are many other. Oh, wait. Before I actually begin, I'll just drop a link on the chat, which is actually to Milanote. It's a website where you can like. I have some links over there. One sec. So you can go if whoever's using a PC and not on your phone, you can actually go to this where you get a lot of links which I have for which are relating to this workshop. Okay, so okay, coming back to it, why Blender? Like the industry standard is usually softwares like Maya and Cinema 4D. Animation specifically, but Blender is an open source software, and I kind of am in a situation where I don't want to pay for anything, nor do I want to use crack software so much. So Blender seems to be like the optimal thing. And also being an open source software and the recent uh, it's 2021, so open source softwares are booming so fast that Blender is coming very close to industry standards, to the point where many industries are actually using Blender for many of the things. Not only animation, even technical things like augmented reality, virtual reality, game design. Many people are using Blender, and I feel because it's open source, it's going to get way more popular. So, and it's free, so why not, right? Okay, so I'll just share my screen now. Okay, so if you had opened the website which I sent you, this is the website which will lead to. So I basically like put a bunch of links that lead to different resources which you guys might find very useful. So my agenda for this workshop is basically I'll just go across Blender. I'll even demo it, and I'll try making a demo composition as well, and I've linked some 3D softwares and free texture softwares and everything. I'll get in detail into that. You don't have to look into that, and some tutorials. Don't worry, I'll get into that. So to start with, instead of getting directly into Blender, I'll just begin with showing like one of my recent. So basically, this is my Instagram, and I'll just show you this. So basically, uh, that's a render which is made in Blender. So I want to show you what exactly it looks like in the software. I mean, okay, wait. Before that, uh, can you guys like raise your hands and tell me how many people have used Blender or 3D art or any sort of CAD software before? Can you just raise your hands? Okay. Oh, okay. That's a good number. Okay. Okay, so for the people who have used CAD softwares and if even Blender, then you guys are going to find this like pretty easy. For the rest of you, trust me, it's just like origami. It's pretty easy. If you guys have made like a paper boat when you were small, it's very simple. So basically, this video which you saw right here, now I'll show you what it exactly looks like on the software. So this is my project file right here, and this is Blender. I will get into a more basic demo of Blender, but before that, I'll just show you what actually the scene looks like. So I'll just so what you saw right there is this is what it actually looks like. This is without any material and just in a solid mode. So uh, the, I'm not going to cover human figure model. That's out of the scope of this workshop because it's a bit high level. But though there are many softwares which can make the process easier. So if you might be wondering, there's a lot of things going on here. There's a lot of lines and all that. I'll just take those lines off. This is the scene basically, and rest of it is just camera work. So if I just zoom out, this is the scene. So what I want you to understand from seeing this scene by zooming out like this is that I want you to understand, like, in a way, I want to demystify. I want to demystify how movies and animations are made. Like, okay, one weird thought I had before I started 3D, do they create an entire planet, like a complete world for the characters, or like how do they do that? And the answer is they just it depends on the shot, and my shot was just across this area right here. So I don't need to care about what's around it. My camera is probably going to capture just this part, so I don't need to care about the details over here. I mean, this is just an image, to be honest, and stuff like that. So, and also and this water is just a plane, but the camera doesn't know it, so it doesn't matter. It's purely, it's not going to be completely physical accurate. So if I just bring back those lines and shift it to camera mode, so this is my camera right here, and if I just play it, wait, I think I chose the wrong camera. Yeah, so basically I rendered this as a video, and that's basically what you see as an end finished product. So now, I mean, this might be like kind of simple. I'll actually show you another project file which I made. So what I'm going to show you now is this picture. So this picture right here, I mean, you might think it's there's like water going on, there's a rock, there's a character, there's a weird mirror thing going on, there is a rocky terrain and all that. But in the scene, it's going to be way more simple. So I'll just so this is in the wireframe mode, and all I have created is this much. That's it. That's the entire scene which you see right there. So I'm just gonna put it in a rendered mode. It just takes a little bit of time to load. Hey, by the way, can you guys hear me? Can someone confirm?
Yes,
Yes, sir. You can hear you.
Okay, cool. All right. So the scene which you guys saw over here is this is what it actually looks like. But what we focus in 3D art is not to make like a physically a real environment, because I'm just gonna render this image. This is the part which I call my art, my composition, or like what I am making, and I don't need to care about what is behind this or like what is over here. I really don't need to make anything else. I just need to make sure whatever stays inside the camera is working fine. So right now it's in material mode, which is like no lighting and everything. So if I shift it to like rendered mode, so this is what it looks like. And this is not a composition that can be run on a normal laptop because it's a bit graphics intensive. As you see, it's lagging on my laptop as well. And yeah, so this is just for you guys to understand that like how animations and all work. Now, if I just like switch it to like wireframe mode, I have a light source right here, and that's the light which is shining. And this is just a plane, to be honest, this one. It's just a plane. So I guess with that said, I think I have you guys like a intro into like what we are expecting to make, right? So I'll just like jump into a new project and teach you. Also, I want to know. Wait, I'll just get back. Also, by show of hands, can you guys tell me how many of you install Blender and are willing to follow along? I mean, it's fine if you guys are not following along. Oh, okay. There are some. Okay, that's quite a lot. I'm actually happy. Okay. So so now you guys can like if you can shift between Blender and my screen somehow, and if you guys can make that work, that'll be great. So I'm gonna just start a new project. So basically, what you guys will see first when you open it is probably this screen right here. So this just like I'll just continue going about making it, and just let me know if you guys can't understand anything, or if I'm going too fast, or if you guys have any doubts, just unmute your mic and just let me know. Okay. So, okay, let's get back into it. So this is the screen which you guys will see when you guys open Blender. So you guys probably won't have any of these because these are my recent projects, and weird names, I know, but still. Okay. So what you guys have to start with is usually general. These are for like later things. And yeah, and also yes, Blender can do 2D animations. That is if you stylus, but you can still make 2D animations with mouse as well. But yeah, so I mean, assuming that you guys are following along, I'm just gonna get into it. So I'm gonna use general. So this is the default screen of Blender, and that's about it for Blender, to be honest. Like there is one thing about Blender is that these windows are customizable. You can move around these windows. You can shift it into like turn it into other window. For example, let's say I don't like my 3D view over here. Okay, so okay, fine, that's fine. I'll just bring my 3D view over here. Then I'll just bring it over. I'll go to this menu.
Should we do with you or parallel?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. I mean, actually, I'm just teaching
the.
Wait, you haven't downloaded it yet?
Yeah, I mean, we did not download it till now. Should we download it now?
I mean, I thought, okay, what I was thinking is everyone has downloaded who raise their hands. I mean, if you haven't downloaded, you can just like watch, or you can download right now, because I'm just going to teach the tools, and you can follow along with if you have it installed by the time I reach to a demo composition. Is that all right?
Yes, guys, if you haven't downloaded it already, it's not a problem. We'll be also be uploading the recording to our YouTube channel. So you can simultaneously try downloading. If you're able to download it, you can follow along from the middle. Or if you find it tough, you can always refer back to the YouTube recording.
Also, if you guys wondering where to download it, I have added a link over here. If you can see my screen, I've added links for Blender. And installation is pretty straightforward. You just have to open the exe file and run it. That's it. So, okay, I'm getting back. I'm just teaching the tools and basic UI of what is happening over here. So, like I was saying, if I don't like my 3D view over here, I can just switch these by changing it. So basically, these are the windows which Blender has. Like this is literally everything that Blender can do in this general. So this is going to convert this into a 3D viewport. So this becomes my 3D viewport, and I can change this into something else. Like let's say outliner. So what I just switched it, and you can get as many as windows as you want. So I'm just gonna turn it back to the previous one. You don't need to like change that many of it. You can just stick to the same default one for that matter. Okay, you don't have to follow along like right now. You can just check out what these tools do, because I'm just teaching the tools right now. Okay, so the outliner, you can just I usually don't give names to things because I just like understanding what the things do, then give it names and like try to get very technical about it. So this is how I go about it. This is the 3D view. This is the 3D section of the software. This is default, it'll be a timeline. It's basically for your animations. But then if you're doing just a still artwork, you probably won't need it that much. So I'm just gonna keep it here. And the outliner basically tells you what all elements are there in the scene. For as of now, there's a cube, and there's a light, and there's a camera. So these three are the elements which are there. As you see, there's nothing else. And what I need, okay, coming back to the whole workshop, is that there is no limits over here. Like this 3D viewport is like this complete new reality where you can create any sort of environment as big as you want, and everything will all lights and everything will work pretty much like how you expect in for example. Actually, you know what, I'll get back to that later, but let me just get to the tools first. So I'm just gonna delete this cube. Right, wait, let me just try switching on key map if that's possible, so that you guys can see what keys I'm pressing when I'm using this. Just a second. Okay, I'm just finding it hard to like search it. Okay, never mind. I'll just show you guys the tools then. So usually I stick. So this is to activate the gimbal. So gimbal basically means this thing right here. This thing basically allows you to like move things. This this circle right here. But if you don't click this, you're get stuck with how do you move this thing. Now this is where shortcuts come in. So one thing about 3D softwares is that you guys have to like, it's a thumb rule that you guys have to like get thorough with the shortcuts. So I have actually put a link in the Mila note over here. Go to that. So you get all the important shortcuts that you would require for Blender, for general use of Blender. So you guys could refer to this, but anyways, I'll tell you guys what it is anyways. So one important it's lagging. Okay. One important shortcut that you will be using pretty often is Shift A. So Shift A basically gives you this menu where you can add objects and all that. I mean, the non-shortcut version of this is basically clicking add over here. But trust me, when you're making something big or like a bigger project or like any project for the matter, shortcuts help you speeden up your process by so much. So right now I'm gonna add a cube again. So I just deleted a cube just to show you guys how to add one. So I can keep adding as many things as possible, like a plane or like and text if I want to, and literally anything that I want. Sphere. Okay. So I'm just going to delete everything in the scene again. For selecting everything, it's Control A. I mean, sorry, A, just A, not Control A. And another thing you need to understand is circle right here. You see this red circle? That's called the 3D cursor. Basically, so the shortcut for moving the 3D cursor is right click over here. It goes into like the nearest point, wherever that is. So shift and right click. And I'll tell you why this is. Because wherever the cursor is, that is where your object will be added. For example, if I do the Shift A and add a cube now, it gets spawned over there. So it's important where you spawn it. Sometimes if you have your 3D cursor, let's say I put my 3D cursor over here, and then I click Shift A, and then I put a cube, a circle, whatever. Now the circle's over there, and I'm like, where's my circle or a cube? Like, oh my god, right? So that's why you need to like make sure like where the 3D cursor is. But now obviously you're not gonna keep track of the 3D cursor everywhere. So what you got to do is you can just click Shift S. When you click when you click Shift S and hold it, you get this pie menu. I'm still holding Shift S right now as I use my mouse to circle around this. So now this is for like placing your 3D cursor. So right now I can bring my 3D cursor to the world origin that is over here in the middle. So now my 3D cursor is back here. Now I know my whatever circle which I accidentally spawned over somewhere far away there is over there. Now how do I bring it back? I just have to like select it. Hopefully it's selected. And I go to the pie menu again, that is Shift S, and then put selection to cursor. So now my circle, which I had spawned very far away, is actually over here. Okay, this might seem kind of weird, but now let me just give you the basics. That is, what do you do? Like, what do you do exactly when you're like 3D modeling, right? So you basically start, I mean, people who know CAD, you kind of understand what I'm talking about here. That is, you start with primitives. That is, you have a plane, you have a cube, you have a circle, you have a UV sphere. UV sphere is basically a fancy way of saying a sphere, and icosphere is different. It's more of a kind of diamond shape. Basically, UV spheres are made of quads. That is made of 4. I'll show you a difference. So if I just scale this, and if I add, just keep this here. If I add an icosphere, scale it. You see the difference over here? This is made of tris, that is triangles, and this is made of quads, that is 4-sided planes. Now you might be wondering, why can't you just give me a sphere? This is not smooth. I mean, it kind of makes sense when if you ask that. But the thing is that in a 3D software, you don't curved planes, or like you don't have any curves. It's the smallest unit you can actually get in 3D modeling is you need to get to a triangle or a plane, and that is the smallest. It's like apart from being a point, if you this is a point, but then this might be the smallest unit. It's either a quad or it's a triangle. I mean, how do I make a triangle? That's easy. So okay, now I'll just show you like how to get into this different modes. So Blender has like different modes depending on what you're working with. That's object mode, edit mode, sculpt mode, vertex paint. You just need to know these 2 modes for now. You don't need to know anything else. You can get into getting a bit higher. So these 2 modes, object mode and edit mode, are like 2 modes which you will be like keep switching between pretty often. And the shortcut for getting into edit mode without manually going here and actually clicking it is tab. So you just click the tab button and you get into edit mode. What I mean by edit mode is that you're able to edit points, vertex, and all. You're able to add new geometry and build upon the existing geometry. But in the object, it's more about translation and adding new objects, or just placements, like moving things over here, like over here, or like. So in edit mode, I'll just click tab. Now my mesh, okay, my plane has actually become 4 points, right? Now some more shortcuts you need to know is that the buttons 1, 2, and 3 are actually used for switching between vertex and face select. So it's kind of self-explanatory if you think about it. It's like vertex select basically selects your points. That is this point, like this. If I just switch on gimbal so it's visible. So you see here, if I've selected this point right here, and if I just so for moving anything in Blender, the shortcut is G. So G as in like to move. So if I just do this, now I can move this specific point alone. So I'll just click escape and get back to it. So in vertex select, I get to select vertices, right? Like this. And I mean, it's kind of what the other 2 does. In edge select, you're selecting the edge of the plane like this, right? And face select is a complete face. either be a triangle or just triangle or a rectangle or like a quad, like whatever, a face basically. And you don't need to get that in detail with these tools. I mean, it's kind of intuitive, like it's a bit higher, but the base, these are not the basic, these are which come later. But then for now, the basic is probably things like extruding things. So let's say I get into face select. Now select, I've selected this face. When you select it, it gets highlighted. And now another main shortcut is the button E. As you see in the shortcut menu, if you guys are watching that, is the button E. So if I click E and then move my mouse, I mean, it basically extrudes upwards. Or like if I want to go downwards, I just put my mouse downwards. Get it? So basically I can build a cube from a plane, and possibilities are endless after you understand extruding. And I'll tell you why. Wait, there's actually one more shortcut which you need to get to. That is the button I. So the I basically means to okay, I forgot what it's actually called, but if you click I, I'm able to basically create a smaller version of it. I mean, I don't think it's called intersect. No, it's not called intersect. Okay, it's just okay. Just stands for I. You get what's happening here, though. I can just click any face and then like basically make it smaller, and then so basically creates this border sort of thing. Now, why it's important? I'll show you. So let's start from first. I'll just delete it. Let's start with the cube. So Shift A, I'll get this menu. Add a cube. All right, that's simple. Now let's click Tab and go to edit mode. So now this entire cube is editable. And I'll just click here. So I just need a face. So I just click a face. And let's say I'm going to click I now. And let's say I want to make like a flagpole or something like that. So I'm just going to, I've made this smaller. So I'm just going to select this face and click E. So if I click E, it's going to be like, it's going to do this. So, I mean, I hope you guys are understanding like where this is going, you know? So if I just click G and click Z. So basically now if I click G, I can basically move this anywhere I want. But I want to make it constrained to one axis. That is the Z axis. Z axis being the vertical axis right here. So if I click Z, it gets aligned to the Z axis, and it gets constrained, so it doesn't go anywhere else. So I can just, if I just click GZ again and like just keep pulling it. So that's basically how you make things. And like, I mean, let's say I want to make something like a mobile or something. Okay, so let's see how we can go about it. I know I'm just going a bit away from the basics right now. I'm just trying to give you guys a perspective of how this, you know, like my workflow happens. So right now I need a rectangle, but I don't have a rectangle over here, do I? It's just a plane. So how do we do it? We just need to scale it. And scaling, the shortcut is S. So if I just click S and then scale it, but then I want a rectangle, but if I click S, it just scales uniformly. So for that, I basically click S and some axis, either Y or X. So if I click X, the red line is always X, okay? So now I am able to like constrain it to the X. I'm able to like scale it like this much. Like, I mean, I guess a mobile is like this big, okay? So now I can just, you know, extrude it, right? I need to give it some thickness. So I just get into edit mode. That is by clicking Tab. And I'm just going to click E. I'm just going to like make it little. I'm going to stop it. So obviously this is not a phone, right? Because phones are way more curvier. So let's give it some curves. In mechanical and terms, you call it chamfers, and you know, like forgot what the rest other thing was, but so basically, if you get into edit mode and get into edge select, because I want to curve, what I want to do right now is curve this. Because if you guys have a look at your mobile, all your mobiles are like curved in the corners. So what I want to do is get into edge select just by clicking 2 or like going and clicking this. And I'm gonna click each of these edge. Or wait, I'll just demonstrate on one edge first. So the shortcut for curving, what's that? Edge is basically Control B. So if I do that, wait, what's stuck? What? Wait, no, yeah. So if I just B, so default is probably gonna be like one, like one face, but I want like more phases. I want to make it curved, right? So if you see there's a bevel, and also this menu probably won't pop up until you actually do a bevel function. That is by clicking Control B. So if I just Control Z and go back, this menu won't be seen. There's no other way to like find this menu anywhere else. So this Control B, and default is probably just one thing, but then I want to make it curved. So I just go back here. So over here, you find something called segments. Segments is basically how many times it divides. More the time you divide, it becomes a curve. So let's say I put 4. So now it's a curve, you see? So if I increase it, the number of divisions increases. And when the number of divisions increases, it's basically getting curved. So let's say, I think I'm fine with 4 for now, right? So now that's a curved edge, but I want it for all my other edges as well. I mean, other corner edges. So just Control Z and go back. I'm just gonna click. I'm gonna shift. So for choosing multiple edges, you need to click Shift and use your click your mouse. For example, I click here. Now I'm holding Shift and I click the other edge. So now I'm clicking multiple edges. So let's say now I want to curve these 2 edges. I can be like Control B. So now both of them will get curved. So you see what's happening. But anyways, I don't want these two to be curved, at least not right now. So I'll just go Control Z, and click these edges right here. And I'll just click Control B. Kind of made a kind of a shape of a phone, but not exactly that detailed. But anyways, I'll get back to this. But now you might be wondering, Abhijit, I don't want this kind of edges going on. Why are these edges over here? I don't like it. My mobile doesn't have this kind of edges. So thing is that because 3D softwares, like I told you, this one plane, this one quad, or if it's a anything, that is the smallest it can go, and it can't just become a curved plane. So what you do is you click Shade Smooth. So basically it fakes it. So if I click Shade Smooth, it turns into this weird smooth, but it's kind of too much, I know. So what you do is to fix this, you just get into this object data properties panel right here. It's this green triangle. I'll tell you what these are for in a minute. So once you get into normals, you get this thing called auto smooth. So basically it approximates depending upon your curvature. Like it kind of gets your angles and it makes it better. But if I just click it, now you see it looks more like what we actually want. Something which is more smooth, but I don't want these things to be curving. But if I remove this, you get these weird like artifacts which goes on like this, and that's not nice, right? So I'll just switch this on. Okay. Well, we'll get back to this, but I would like to get a bit more into like the looks part of it, because right, solid thing. Like, how do you guys color this, right? So now I need to show you guys a new menu. So this menu is called the shader editor. So right now I have just finished like telling you guys what you can do with modeling, right? So I've taught you like extruding things and like curving things, or like maybe like there's like one more function which you guys could try out, is that if I just go into edit mode, and there's a shortcut for getting into different views. For example, if you guys have a number pad, like many computers don't have a number pad, so you guys have to like use this to get into different views. If I just click this or like this, you can get into different views. But if your computer has a number pad, you can directly click, like use the numbers 1 or 7 to get into like different views, like 9 or like different things like that. So I'm just gonna get into a front view, or like a top view actually. So you want to make a cutout, Okay, I don't want to do the classic just the eye thing which we did before, because maybe I want something more. So what I do, maybe I want something more customizable. So let's say now if I just click the shortcut K, right? I guess there is a K tool over somewhere here. Okay, I don't know. But anyways, if you just click K, you get this knife icon. Okay. So I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, like what it does, right? You just cut things up. Right? So if I just click somewhere and then start cutting it, let's say like that and that and that, just go crazy. Just do something random. Okay, let's say let's complete the loop. Just click over here and click enter. So basically, now I have made this cutout right here, and I can even delete it if I want to, and now that's gone. So now you guys kind of know like what all you can do in modeling. I mean, this is like the basics of modeling. There's a lot you can do. This is probably considered a destructive way of modeling, but there are other ways using things called modifiers. So there are a bunch of modifiers over here. So many modifiers which you can use to manipulate your mesh and all that. I'll get to that also in a sec, but for now I'll just get back my material. So now I want to show you what I was getting to, that is shaders. So the first one being modeling, and now the second is the shading part of 3D art, or like what do we want to call it. So for actually viewing your shaders, you can't view it in solid mode. So these modes, right? These viewing modes. So if I click this one, this wireframe sort of thing, if you just hover over it, you'll see what it is actually standing for. So if I just click it, now this is called a wireframe mode. I mean, like you see, it's in wireframe, so you can see through and it's just lines. If I click into solid mode, it's solid, but there's no material on it. And if I get into material mode, there is no lights, but and also there's no material as well, because I've not added any material. If you go to the material section, this one right here, it's called material properties. There is no material. As you see, there's nothing here. So I need to add a new material. So that is why default the object is white. So let me add a new material. So you just need to click the new button and you get this node system. So let me get into like two ways of making materials, right? Now this is a part where it might get a bit confusing, but trust me, this is very, very easy. So if I just zoom in, okay? I'm hoping you guys can see my screen clearly and it's not lagging and all that. So, so now that we have added a material, and even the material is white, so that is why you guys can't see the difference. So if I just click this color material right here, I mean, whoever's following right now, you guys can like try it better. For those who are not trying, you guys can just see what I'm doing. It's pretty intuitive. Like it's one of the easiest softwares to learn when it comes to 3D. When you're comparing different 3D softwares, Blender is actually one of the easiest to learn. At least in 2021 it is. So I'm just gonna change the color right now. So let's say it's a mobile, right? So let's go for like a black. So I'm just gonna pull this down. Okay, so I mean, if you guys are not familiar with color wheels and color sliders, so usually how it works is there's a color which has all the primary colors, and like that's the WebGR basically, and then there's darkness, that is dark to white, and basically you just get all ranges of color right here. So let's say I want a red, and I want a darker red, so I just pull this slider down. I want a darker red, so it goes here. I mean, obviously, if I just pull everything down, and everything turns black. And if I take everything here, it becomes very bright. And let's say I want to go back to like making it like a black surface. Okay, so that's pretty fine, but it's still not cool. So now I want to get into the node system right here. I'm just gonna like move the 3D viewport a little bit over here. I'm just gonna keep it here in the view. But okay, let's get into this. So right now, this function called the principal BSDF. I mean, I'm not going to get into the technicalities of it because we are not here to talk about the technicalities. We are getting to how to make 3D art, right? So BSDF is just a function, and okay, let's say this node is not there, but default it will be there. But let's say I deleted this. My object goes blank over here. My object goes blank. There's no material on it. Even if I get into my rendered mode, there's no material on it. So the shortcut is same for adding something in the shader as well. Even the shader is like this another infinite space where you can add how many ever nodes you want. So I'll get into that now. This node right here, a default node which is always there, is called the material output. So the surface, volume, and displacement. Don't worry about what it is. I'll just teach you in a sec. So Shift A for adding a new node. So I'm going to click here. I'm going to search for BSDF, and I'm going to go to principled BSDF. So I'm just going to node is as easy as just taking this green dot, clicking it, and putting it to the surface. So now I've added a principled BSDF to the surface. Now I'm just going to change the color. Let's say, okay, this time, let's say I'm going to go for a blue, a bit of dark blue actually. All right. So that's, I mean, thing is that you can literally make any material you want with principled BSDF by adding new nodes over here. I'll get into that. So right now it's very plain. I wanna show you guys what it can do, right? So let's see what all is there over here. So let's start from here. So there's metallic, specular, roughness. Specular tint is just like a color, a tint kind of thing. And these are things which you can get into when you're doing a bit higher stuff. It's nothing much. Sheen and clear coat and all that. So I'm just going to demonstrate what these things can do. So, okay, so I'm just going to get into rendered mode. So the mode we are in right now is called the material mode, where there are no lights right now. It's just materials. So if I just click into rendered mode, now it's dark, right? Because there's no lights. I've not added any lights. As you see, I've deleted everything. So there's no lights anymore. So I need to add a light. Now you might be wondering, like, oh my God, like how do you add a light, right? So Shift A, and you see a thing called light. Okay. So you get like 4 options. That's point, sun, spot, and area, right? Now you don't need to worry about like, you can just experiment and find out what it is. Like, for example, if I just add a point and click G and like put it out, right? Or if you don't want to use G, like you can just use the gimbal as well. Like over here, if I just click this, and I can just pull this up like that. So now I am in the rendered mode. Is basically running on a render engine called the Eevee. Eevee is actually Blender's real-time render engine. I mean, if it's not real-time, I won't be able to move my viewport like this. I'll get into the rendering part in a while, but for now, it's in the mode, and the light is. Let me see the light properties right here. So when you click an object, you get a properties for that. Let's say I click this this object right here. I get new options over here like modifiers and all that. But then if I click a light object, I get a different options over here. So that is the light objects right here. And you see properties. I can even shift it to the other 4. Even if I accidentally put a point, I can just shift it to like a different things. So let's say I want to play around with the color. It's the same way. Yellow, green, blue, red, whatever. And like in real life, the light over here is actually rated at. But seriously, you don't need to think about the technicalities of, oh my God, like how many watts should I put? You just have to like play around with this like a slider and just see like which light works for you. So let's say I'm going to put a 600, and yeah, so that's bright enough actually. So I'll just like, if I just move it around, you see how the light is moving. But then in the same time, if I get into material mode, there's no lights because it's just a preview for materials right now. So let me get into like rendered mode, and that's how lights. Now, if you're wondering what's the difference, right? So if I just get into sun, now 600 is too much for sun. Okay, so I need to like put it around like 1. Actually, 1 is also a bit too low. Let me see. Okay. Now you might not be like getting what's happening right now because the sun is basically this environment light, which basically lights this entire infinite reality, which is right here. Because when you're creating an environment, the sun is no way movable. Like even if I move the sun anywhere, the light is not gonna matter. But then the angle, if I rotate it, is gonna change the lighting. It's basically like changing like the angle of the sun, like wherever the sun is in the sky kind of thing. But don't worry about that. So let's get to the next thing, which is spotlight. So I'm just gonna like show you spotlight right quickly. I'll just scale it down and increase this to like 600. So it's pretty self-explanatory. And if I just use S and scale it down and like pull it down here. Also, if you can't understand something, or if you guys find I'm going a bit fast or like kind of vague, you just let me know, okay? Like, because I tend to do that a lot. So yeah, so I can change the colors or like do whatever I want. Like this right now is like my own reality. Like I can do whatever I want right here, right? Okay, so that's lights, and area light is basically a rectangular light. I'll just zoom in over here. It's just a rectangular light, which I will be using most of the time. All right. It doesn't matter. A point light basically spreads light, like which it spread in every angle, 360 degree, right? So if I just bring it over here, and if I just it's spreading everywhere, like in all the direction. In this circle, this sphere right here, it's spreading everywhere. But then if I take an area light, it's spread. If I just make it bigger, let's say S, and like make it bigger, okay, it goes only in one direction. You see this line going right here? That's the only direction in which this area light goes. I'll show you how it is. You see what's happening? So if I just bring it down here, there's no light being shined on this side because the line is over here. That's the direction of light. So if I just like change it to point again, now it's a 360 degree light. It's more like a bulb at this point. Area light is more like a headlight where the light doesn't shine inside, it's shining outside the car. So yeah, that's about it. And there are other settings which you could explore, like contact, shadows, and everything. But those are like fine details which you could tune when you're like actually getting into like very like more artistic freedom sort of thing. So I'm just gonna delete that, right? Oh wait, I'm sorry. I'll just add that back. It's a light. I'm gonna add a point, add it to like a 600, like GZ, and leave it there. Okay, now let's get back to the materials, and I'll show you what all you can do with this. So I'm just going for selecting the for playing around with the materials, you need to make sure the object is selected. Okay. So people who are following along, you can actually try this out, and trust me, playing around with materials is one of the coolest things in Blender. Like it's one of the main things. So let's say I want to add roughness to it. Roughness to this surface. So I want to play around with the roughness, right? So I'm just going to move this slide. It's basically reality in Blender or 3D softwares, right? Is basically sliders. Like physical matter, everything can be tweaked with sliders right here. So I'm just going to play around with the roughness. As you see, if I make the roughness very, very low, and if I look here, now it's like reflecting the light. It's more of a like a mirror finish kind of thing. So the point light is over here. This, and if I just like what's that? So you see, it's like a mirror finish right now. So just click the object, and if I just bring back the roughness, so now you see it becomes like this matte finish sort of thing. Oh my god, what happened? Oh, I went other side. All right, let's bring it over here. And other settings are like pretty intuitive. Like let's say I want to make it metallic. So I'm just going to bring this here, and it becomes a bit metallic. Metallic is basically, it becomes a bit darker, but it also has this kind of sheen to it. But other settings under it, for example, if I just make it like very matte metal or whatever you want to call it. I mean, honestly, you don't have to be physically correct, it's visually correct. So let's say I'm going to make it like roughness like that low. So now it's like a metal, right? It's like, it's more like a glossy metal, right? Or you could even do something like clear coat, where you might be, it's just it's like, I'm not sure how to explain it. It's kind of in the name. It's a clear coat, like adding a varnish or something on your furniture or whatever you want to call it. So we'll play around with these in a sec. So all right. So that's basically how materials work. You just have to like move sliders and all that. And let's get into a bit more detailed material node systems. Okay. So let's just hide this what is that? So default, because we started with a plane, it's going to be named a plane. Let's say I don't want to name this a plane. I want to call this, let's say, mobile. So I'm just gonna name. I'm just gonna double click this name here and name it mobile. All right. So I'm just gonna come back. Now let's play around with the materials now. So I'm just gonna hide this mobile. Also, there are different ways of hiding. If you just click this menu right here, and you can do like I'm not gonna explain this because you guys will can just experiment with it and then understand what it is. Basically, this disables the object in the viewport. That means the object is not there at all in the viewport. But then you might be wondering, what is this eye then? Now, if I render an image using my camera, as in a virtual camera, it's still going to be seen. So that's why you have to use these two buttons to remove them. But okay, that's not important. That's not basics, but let's just check that. So let's play around with the materials now. So now, you guys must have come through a little bit of computer science. I'm guessing most of you are from computer science department and all that. So one thing you guys will know is binary numbers, right? 1 and 0. So in visually speaking, you can take ones and zeros as black and white. So I'll tell you what I mean by that. So I'm gonna click over here in the shader editor. I'm gonna click Shift A. Okay, Shift A. I'm gonna click search and search for this thing called color ramp. This is something important, which you'll be using pretty often. So it's basically a slider. It's basically a slider with a black and white default black and white slider, which has black on this side and white on this side. Now, why I have a separate slider is because colors actually influence what material, the specifications of material. For example, I'll give you an example here. So I'm going to connect this color node to roughness over here. Suddenly my roughness changes. It loads and it changes. I mean, obviously you didn't see any difference, but then now I can't, there's no slider over here. My slider is over here, right? Now you might be wondering, Abhijit, why do you want to put a separate slider over there? I'll give you an answer for that. Now, like I told you, the material is influenced by black and white. It's basically binary. So now when I'm increasing the black, that basically means it's going low roughness. So for 0 and white stands for 1. And as I increase the black, it becomes glossy. That is very, very smooth. But then if I reduce it, it becomes more rough, right? Now, there are very interesting things you can do with this. For example, let's say, okay, let's add a new node called a noise modifier. Sorry, not modifier, noise node. So I'm just gonna search for a noise texture, my bad. So I'm gonna add the noise texture right here. Okay, you can just search for it. Just click Shift A and click search, and then just search for NOISE, right? Escape, and I'll just go here. So now I'm just gonna connect this color to this factor, this point right here in the color ramp. Okay. Now if I do that, suddenly you see there's some sort of weird thing going on over here. What is this? Okay. Now I'll tell you the interesting part about doing 3D art, and especially if you're trying to do something photorealistic or something like that. It's actually very funny. Okay, because the most of the time spent in 3D art and making photorealistic 3D art, which looks real, is that reality isn't clean. Okay, just look at your laptop or just look at your phone. If you're holding a phone or if you're looking at your screen, just look at your screen. Your screen is not just smooth. Your screen has a lot of scratches or fingerprints or dust or so many things. So one thing in 3D art is that we need to constantly keep making imperfections to actually emulate photorealistic things. And you could basically do that. You can fake it by adding a noise, or you can add other textures as well. If you can actually explore what all other textures are there. Just click Shift A, and if I click search, right? So there are many things here. If I just search for texture, so there are some things like checkered texture. You don't need to see environment. I'll teach you that later. Musgrave texture, noise texture. Okay, so now we have added noise texture. So let's say I need to increase the scale. Okay, wait, actually, if I just show you what is the data, what is the raw data which is being fed to this BSDF? That is, what is the thing which is entering this roughness, right? So I'll just connect this node. I'll just pick up this node and connect it directly to the surface, right? So now the BSDF is not connected anymore. So BSDF is separate. So this is not running on the, this is not running at all. This is basically doing nothing. The only thing which is running right now is this node, which is connected to the output, right? The material output. So now you see, this is the data which is being fed. So wherever, so if I just play around with the noise modifier right here, so increase the scale. So you see what's happening. It's increasing the noise, the scale of the noise. As in, if you increase it, it becomes more fine. If I decrease it, it becomes more, you know, a bit more chalky or like, you know, a bit smoky. And you can increase the detail. What do you mean by detail is like a bit more powdery effect. See what's happening? And as you know, like the roughness is similar as well. So if I reduce the roughness, it becomes very like smushy and like roughness, it becomes more powdery. Distortion is when you want to make a kind of spirally thing going on. So if I do this, it does this weird spirally thing, right? So I'm just going to keep that 0 because we don't need that much spirals, because spirals look way more artificial and like not that realistic. So I'm just going to put that 0 and connect back my principal BSDF. So I don't need to sit and connect it anymore. I just need to like drop it here. So default, it gets connected to color. The base color, if I just remove this, is the blue color which we gave before, right? But then if I connect this, the base color becomes the date, because that is what's coming through these things, right? Which when I connected this directly, that is what's been shown here. But the BSDF allows you to give roughness. Wait, I think I removed everything. Okay, my bad. If I just put this here, the difference between using a BSDF and using just these two nodes is that you don't have there's no roughness, or there's no metallic, there's no specular, nothing. Specular is basically this a shine kind of thing, but these two nodes don't have that. That is why there's no light bouncing off this system right now. So the only nodes which is connected to this are this and this. So I'm just going to bring back my principal BSDF, and then I'm going to connect this. I'm going to remove this, and I'm going to connect this BSDF to the surface. So now you see the roughness values and metallic values are actually taking place. The light is actually behaving like how it would work with an actual material. So now let's explore like how you can manipulate roughness, right? So I'm just going to connect this color. It doesn't matter if you connect to the base color. You can actually remove it later if you want. So I'm just going to connect roughness. So now the data the black and white data is being converted into roughness values. So wherever there's a black, it's actually low roughness, and wherever there is a white, it's actually high roughness. That's basically more rough and more glossy. So if I just increase the black, really, like you can actually see, like you can reduce the effect of this noise texture and add more blacks. So I can actually demonstrate over that if I just connect this to the surface. So if I just increase this, you increase the amount of black. If you actually reduce this, you increase the amount of whites. So it's basically data, ones and zeros. So it's like ones over here and like zeros over here, and it's basically telling the software like where to increase roughness and where to decrease roughness. And the color ramp basically gives you this way to like do this kind of gradient thing, where because in real life you don't like jump very in a constant way, right? If I can actually do that by doing this constant thing. So if I just pull this over here, it does this constant thing, which it doesn't you know, like what to say, doesn't have a gradient going on. But then if I shift it to let's say linear or any other thing, any other function, it does a sort of gradient before it merges with the other between blacks and whites. So if I just bring it back to how it was, and if I just connect this back to the roughness, right? And if I connect this to the surface, so now we have a material, and this is the most basic material. Like I mean, you can get way more complex depending on what you want, right? So right now I can just play around with it. I can just increase the scale, and I can make it look a bit photorealistic. And now it looks like a surface, you see? it looks like a kind of a realistic surface now. That is because we have added the imperfection. That is basically some noise and some random roughness change. All right. So that's kind of how the materials work, and I'll get into detail when we're doing the demo composition as to like how the rest of the materials work. But let's jump into like the demo. All right. So I haven't got into lighting and camera angles because let's make the demo. All right. So just give me by show of hands. Can you guys just tell me if you guys are you guys following, or like do you guys want to follow the demo, or like I'll just go about with, I mean, yeah, just show your hands like if you guys are like understood something till here. Okay. If you guys have any doubts, you guys can ask me, okay? Because I might be going a bit fast because, to be honest, like Blender as such is a very vast tool, and it would take way more time to like teach the entirety of it. But so I'm gonna, it's more like a crash course, you could say. So let's try making a demo composition, right? Like an artwork or whatever, or like just my workflow, right? So I'm just gonna delete everything. What's here? So I'm just gonna click A and delete everything, right? Also, if you guys have any doubt as to like what anything is what's going on over here, like even now, like you guys can just put a message on the chat or like just unmute your mic and just let me know, okay? All right. So I have this references which so let's see now. I decided to like make something similar to this vibe, okay? So usually when I'm starting with an artwork, I'm usually like running across like Pinterest for like finding different ideas. So if I just go to my Pinterest over here, so this is my Pinterest right now, and like I just have references for everything. For example, let's say I want like a cyberpunk thing, so I have saved so many like references for it. These are basically artworks made by different people, and yeah. So I'm just like I've just saved some from Pinterest over here. So I have this app which basically I'm just gonna keep this here. It's called PureRef. If you guys want to know what this is, like so I can actually like have them on my screen when I'm making something. So let's see. I want to make something which has similar vibes, a bit dystopic, but a bit neon kind of vibe, something like this. As I told you, I'm not going to get into character rigging or like character creation. I'm just going to get into the environment creation aspect of it, where you can actually start making new things, right? So let's see. So first of all, we need to have some amount of realistic lighting going on. So one way of doing that is to, I'm just gonna like close this. Wait, so one way of doing that is this thing called HDRI. I actually have a link over here. You can just see here. So I've added a link to this thing called this free HDRI thing. It's called HDRI Haven. Basically, you get these 360-degree images, okay? Now, you might be wondering, like, why do we need 360-degree images? But I'll tell you why. So I already have some downloaded, right? So I'll just get to those. So if you just download and then save it somewhere, and you have to add this as an environment texture. Now, I'll tell you what that means, right? I'm just going to go into my environment panel right here, this earth button right here. I'm going to click the color button, go to environment texture. All right. Don't worry what happened to the screen is just pink because there's no texture. I'm going to click open. I'm going to go to my HDRIs folder. I have this many HDRIs saved, okay? Along, because I've worked on a bunch of projects before. So I have some saved here. So let's see, something that suits our vibe is, let's see, this one suits our vibe. So let's say I'm going to go for this. So basically the like solid mode. So like this infinite reality which we have right here, right? This 3D viewport doesn't have any light of its own. It's just like a grayish light going on. So if I have any object over here, let's say Shift A and put a cube over there, there's no light exactly. But then if I get to render, because I put this HDRI, now I get some realistic lighting. Like these lights right here in this image are actually lighting my object right here. So if you just like spend some time going through like HDRI, like what is the technicalities of HDRI, you'll understand what is happening. Basically, it's a high definition image, 360-degree image, which gives you a better lighting instead of sitting and lighting each and every part of your object. So I have this weird night scene right here. This is not 3D, by the way. This is just an image. And so now I need to add like 3D meshes to it. So now people who are having Blender open and want to follow along can actually start following along. So I'm going to get into lighting and camera angles right here. So once you know this, you're basically good for like making any sort of artwork you want, right? So I'm just going to delete this. Let's start, right? So let's see our references. Okay, to be honest, even I have no idea what I'm going to make. I'm just going to, I wanted to do this impromptu so that you guys know what is my workflow and how I think when I'm actually making something. So this is my process of how I make any kind of artwork, which you saw on my Instagram right here, which is like, just a second. So whatever I've made here, my workflow is going to be pretty much the same as to how I'm going to make this demo. So I've added a HDRI, so my lighting is good. So I'm just going to switch on some settings so that, you know, like so it's kind of a default thumb rule things like add ambient occlusion, kind of technical things, but you don't need to know it in the basic level. Just switch it on and just believe me that it's fine. Just go to screen phase refraction, add refraction, and I mean, if you're wondering what refraction does, I'll get to that in a minute. But anyways, and I'm just gonna switch on the simplify, which is here, so that I mean, it's some technical things which you will learn when you start making more artworks. So I'm just going through these references to get myself some vibe. So I'm like, okay, I want some kind of like wet road kind of thing going on, and some kind of neon thing going on. All right, so I'm just gonna like minimize that. So I'm going to add a plane, mesh plane, and I have a plane over here. Now, if I just click N, the shortcut N, okay, so I get this side menu right here, which tells me the dimensions. And the thing is that in the 3D software, the lighting actually happens pretty realistically. Like if I actually, okay, let's say I need to add a light. I add a light over here. If I just tweak the settings over here, 600. Which is GZ. Okay, so my light is over here. I'll just give it a material. Click new. Let's say I'm gonna add base color, like make it a bit dark. All right. So my light is reflecting off that, and now if I make this object too big, now right now it's at 2 meter by 2 meter, but then if I make it like insanely big, right? And if I think like, if I look at my object like this, right now it's like 26 meter big. This square right here is considered to be 26 meters. And that is why the light, this 600 watt light looks like a small bulb over here in a 26 meter. It's like 30 meters, around 30 meters right here. So, but then if I make it smaller, as small as, let's say your mobile is probably like 15 centimeters or something. So now it's at like 0. Okay, let's make it smaller. Actually, that's too small. It doesn't matter. Just you get what's happening. The light behaves depending on the scale of the object. So it's actually very important for for lighting a scene. It's very important that you stick to the right scale. So it doesn't mean you need to like stick to it very precisely like how you do it in mechanical CAD. You can just stick to it in a more approximate way. So let's say I want to make a scene which is like, let's say 20 meters big or something. So I'm just gonna like keep scaling it using this S button, and I'm just like moving my mouse and making it around like 20 meters. So that's my scene. Okay, so this is the place where I'm gonna make my scene right now. Now, another thing I didn't tell you about when it comes to materials is this thing called image textures. So if I just click Shift A in the material section, and click search and search for image. So there's this thing called image texture. And trust me, guys, this is by far one of the most insane things you guys will be using in Blender or any 3D software. Trust me, this is what 3D artists use to fake a lot of 3D objects. For example, I'll show you what I mean by that. So I'm gonna go search for some images, okay? I'm literally Googling something right now. Let's say I want some architecture, like let's say shop image textures, okay? So I'm just gonna go to images and let's see. Maybe these are not that okay. You know what? Actually, this one looks okay. Just searching for a good enough image texture. Just get something that which is like kind of usable. Like, okay, let's say, okay, this one looks kind of neat, kind of vintage vibes and all that. So I'm just gonna save this on my desktop right here. Just gonna like put it over here. And also a good rule of thumb is that just make a folder so that you don't like forget where you placed everything. So I'm gonna make a folder, name it workshop. All right, and I'm gonna place this shop front image inside this. And inside, I'm just gonna make a new folder called texture, just for the sake of it, so that I don't forget where everything is. Put that in. All right. And also, don't forget to do one thing. This is something I usually forget and end up, like breaking my head. Is that I never save a project and sometimes get deleted. So Control S, save it. I'm gonna put it on my desktop in the workshop file. I'm gonna name it demo. All right, demo.blend. Save. So now project is saved and we have a plane and all that. So what I'm going to tell you about image texture, right? So actually, I don't want image on this plane. Let's forget this plane. I'm just going to add another plane. Shift A, another plane. I'm going to use GZ, pull it up. Also, for rotating, the shortcut is R. Or you can just use these gimbals. But I'm going to use, if I use R, you can do the same thing. Constrain it to a axis like RX or RY. All right, I'm gonna put it here. I'm gonna pull this over here and scale it a little bit. And I'm going to add a material. And now default the BSDF is set up, and I'm just gonna click Shift A, go to an image texture. All right, open this texture, use this. Now I'm gonna connect this to the base color. Okay. Obviously, the image doesn't look neat. I'll tell you why. Because this image is basically being projected onto this plane. And if I just scale it, now this part of Blender is something which comes under texturing, and people use this thing called image textures. All right. This might get a bit confusing, but like just bear with me. So I need to go to this thing called UV editing. All right. UV basically means how this image is being projected, right? I'll show you what it means. Okay, I just come here. So the 3D viewport is it's just a different space, UV editing. So I'm just gonna use my get into material mode over here. Also, a shortcut for shifting between these modes is the button Z. So if I click Z, I get this another pie menu where it's like solid, material view, wireframe, rendered. I'm gonna get into material mode. Align myself over here. I mean, okay, one thing I never told is how to like move your viewport. Moving a viewport is basically using a mouse with a middle button pressed. You can scroll around like this. And if you scroll, it's zoom. And if you press the middle button, you can actually move around like this. And if you click button, you do this panning, which you just go from one place to another. I'm kind of surprised that no one actually brought this up, but anyways. So I'm gonna now default we are in edit mode when you are in the UV editing. So just click this plane right here, right? So you see when I selected this, something got selected over here, right? That is because if I just click A over here, I just select the square and pay attention to what's happening over here when I move the square over here. You see, so this is the image, right? And this square, this rectangle represents this object right here. And you should see this is a very long rectangle, and because that's the size of the image, but this is a short image. So I mean short plane. So that is why it's kind of projecting it in a very weird way. So I'm just gonna scale it in the y-axis. So I'm gonna click SY. I'm gonna make it that big, and I'm just gonna click this plane right here and bring it back over here, project it on top of this, and maybe just click 1, like 3. Switch my view. You can use this for switching views. I'm gonna click U. U is for changing the projecting mode, right? So how you project this image onto the plane. Okay, so there are different ways in which you can do it. I'm gonna go with project from view, so that I can just project it from the view which I'm in right now. So right now I have projected it, but it's too small. You see, this part of it is getting projected onto the full plane. So I'm just gonna click A and then scale it over here. Scale it until the whole shop comes onto this. I'm just gonna make this bigger. Add a gimbal, pull this over here, pull this over here, right? Now I'll get back to layout mode, the normal default mode, right? So now we're here, right? Now I'll just switch this to 90 degrees so it's straight. I'll get into the orthogonal view, that is like directly looking at it. Now it's in rendered mode. You guys can mean material mode as well. Now this is the fun part where you get to fake an entire shop by just with an image. Okay, now how you can convert these images into 3D, right? So now get into edit mode using tab, and there's another shortcut called Control R. Okay, when you do Control R, you're basically cutting. Just go to an edge. You see how I can bisect this thing, or if I just go here, it bisects like this. You can't do a diagonal. We can only do like straight edges. So I'm just gonna bisect it like this. When right now it's just showing me a highlighting of what it will bisect it as. So if I just click it, it's gonna just highlight. Now it's gonna move with my mouse. I'm just gonna put it over here, right? So now basically I've bisected and pulled that line over here. So if I just get into phase select, these two have become two different phases. I mean, obviously you can do it with knife tool, which I told you guys before. Like you just click K, press one side, and then like if you click C, it will actually make your line straight like that. If you click C again, it goes up. So I can click this, click over here, and click enter, and you can still divide this into different planes. But right now I'm just using the Control R. All right, so I'm just going to get back, and right now I have these two separate things. So now I'm just going to play with the image. All right, because this is a banner of that shop, I'm just going to extrude it. So E, extrude, right? Now I need to make these parts of it because the glass is usually a bit inwards, right? So I'm just gonna keep making it. Just let me know what you guys think. So I'm gonna click Control R. I'm gonna place this right next here. Another Control R. I'm gonna place another one here. Another Control R. All right, that's there. And I'm gonna put another Control R. Another Control R. All right. So now I've divided. If I just get into wireframe mode, I've divided this thing into like this many sections. I'm just getting into material mode, and I'm gonna click face select. It's 3. Click this. Click this. Actually, I'm not gonna click this. I'm gonna click this, this, and this. And I need to like make it extrude a little bit. Let's say this much, right? Yeah, that's enough. And the rest of it, I'll tell you what to do. Now this one, I'm gonna use the eye to actually make this indentation like that, and that's there. And I'm gonna extrude it inwards a little bit like that. And this, I'm gonna actually, I think I need a line over here as well. So Control R. I'm gonna put Control R again. Make this over here. And now I have these two things which I need to like extrude inwards because that's the glass part of it, right? So E, and then I'm gonna put over there. And I'm gonna do the same thing over here. A little bit inside. All right, so that is something. I mean, now you might be wondering, Abhijit, what the hell? Like, what is this thing? Like, you made a front of shop. I mean, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do with it, right? Now, this is the material mode, and like I told you, it doesn't matter what is behind it. It just depends on what comes inside the camera, right? So let's put a camera in the scene. So I'm gonna bring my cursor over here, Shift and right click to bring my cursor, Shift A to bring my add a camera. Come down here, add a camera. I'm gonna put it up. Just gonna bring it here. Just gonna. Okay, so this is my camera. For getting into camera view, I just click the 0 in the number pad. So I'm just gonna get into camera view. Now, you guys might have to like shift some, do some editing in the preference. Like you guys have to go to key map and change some settings over here to get how you move your, because you might want to move your camera like as if you're holding the camera, right? So I usually have my shortcut set to Shift F because I find it comfortable, but otherwise you need to like go here and go to object and go to like navigation. Where is that? Oh wait, I think select. No, object. Oh wait, actually view. Yeah, navigation, and you're gonna go to like fly navigation, and then you get to do this with your camera. Oh my god, very good. So basically this happens, but I basically set up a shortcut in the preferences. You guys can like check it out later. But anyways, so now I'm just setting up my scene. So I can just move around like as if I'm holding a camera. You see, I'm just using, if you're wondering how I'm moving it, is using my mouse to look around and using ASW to actually go front, like W to go front, S to go back, A to go here, D to go here, and all that. So just a second. Yeah. All right. So I'm just gonna set up this scene right here, like quickly, so that we can get to like other things faster. So I'm just gonna edit some things over here, like get into like edge select, click this, shift click this, click E, like extrude it, because it's going everywhere. I'm just gonna constrain it to x-axis, put it over there. It doesn't matter what comes here. I'm just gonna put this, and it's gonna put my camera in such a way. And yeah, actually, you know what? I'm just gonna duplicate it. For duplicating, it's easy. Just Shift D, Shift and D, and then you can just get this separate thing over here. Then place it over there. Just gonna GZ a little bit, and just gonna make another shop. Doesn't matter. No. I'm just gonna go to my camera view. There are like two shops over here. Now let's see. Now I want to give this a bit more a road kind of a texture. So let's go here, search for so you get like these road textures like this. So I'm just gonna click one of the road textures and then save it on my desktop. Wait, yeah. All right. Save it. I'm gonna get back here, put this inside, go inside that, do the same thing. All right. Now I'm gonna get back. Right. So now to do the road, right? So I'm just gonna go into top mode. Now let's add an image texture on this plane. So I'm just gonna put this over here. Also, let's divide it so that I don't have to like make a separate thing for the road, just for the sake of it. I'll make a division over here. All right. Also, you might be wondering how to add multiple materials on a object, right? I'll tell you how. So now, right now, this object has one material. If you just click the plus button, you get to add a new slot where you can add a new material. So let's say I'm going to call this material road. And I'm going to go into this material. I'm going to add, image texture. I'm going to click open. I'm going to go into the textures, click the road here, connect the color, and as you see, nothing has changed. That is because default it has been connected to the first material. So I'm going to go into edit mode. I'm going to get into, and I'm going to click this face. I'm going to click road, right? So I'm going to click assign. So now the road image has been projected onto this face alone. So now there are two materials on this plane right here. All right. So I'm just going to do this quickly because I think we're kind of going out of time because I want to get into other topics as well. Okay, let's just project this quickly. So I'm just going to get top mode. I'm going to this, scale it, bring this over here. But you see, this is not the right way to like project a road doesn't go like this, right? So I need to project it correctly. So I need to like scale it correctly. I need to rotate it, use R to rotate, and like shift. You can actually click R and put the number 90 to shift it by 90 degrees. So now it's like, now it looks better, see? But then as you can see, the scale is off. The line is too big compared to the shop. So I'm just gonna click A and scale it so that not scale it in that, just scale it in this direction. Not in that direction, not that. Actually, yeah, SX, and it scales like that. So now I have something like this, some situation like this going on, which kind of looks like a scene. But you might be wondering, oh, this looks kind of awkward. But trust me, when you look in the camera view, it's not going to look like that. So now it's going to look something like this. Zoom out. And okay, let's do some primitives. I'm just going to keep my cursor here, Shift A, Cube, S, Z, scalar, G. These are like the shortcuts which I told you before. I'm going to scale it. So what I'm making right now is like a lamppost kind of scene. So I'm just going to keep this here. Edit mode, like we did before. Face select, and then click I, and then move a bit, and then like click E. Obviously, that's too thick for light lamppost. I'm just gonna come here. I'm gonna make it smaller. Click S. Make it. Oh wait, actually, I twice. So I'm gonna click I again. Make it small. I think that small will do. I'm gonna make it big. Now just extrude it. And then once I'm here, I actually want a slant line going like this. So I'm just gonna click E again because I need to extrude a different from here. So I'm gonna click E, and then I'm gonna click. I'm gonna move this top surface towards here, right? And similar, I'm gonna click E again, and I'm just gonna extrude this part of it, E, and probably like extrude this and extrude this, and I have something going on over here. So I'll just scale this. Actually, that's not right. Just, oh god, scale this a bit. That kind of became weird, but anyways, it just needs to be visually correct. So I'm just gonna add some edge loops, some loops over here, like Control R, and I'm gonna just click this thing, these three. I'm gonna click E, okay, and I'm gonna get into edge select, deselect these things. I'm going a bit fast, I know. B, which we did for curving things, so it becomes a bit weird. So, I mean, you might be wondering, why is it so weird? That's not how a lamppost looks. But seriously, that really doesn't matter, to be honest, because this is not going to be seen that clearly. I'm going to curve these as well. Control B. All right. Now, I'm going to give a new kind of material to this. So first, I need to give a metal material. So let's see. I'm going to give a new material. I'm going to increase the metallic. I'm going to reduce the roughness. And I'm gonna make it a bit brownish, you know, or maybe not, maybe this much, and make it a bit dark. Okay, but I need this to be a bulb, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click texture. So I'm just gonna click these things right here. I click C this circle so I can actually select multiple things at once. I'm just gonna click this and then like see that. Click this. I'm gonna add an emission texture now. So with that selected, let's say I'm gonna select that as well. And another material. Now I'm gonna add an emission material. Search for emission. And I'm going to delete this this one because we don't need that, because emission, because light usually doesn't have any roughness, right? I'm going to add this. And I'm going to assign this selected surface to, I didn't select everything, did I? Didn't select everything. All right, assign. So now I'm just going to increase the strength. As you see, now that's the light, right? So now I'm just going to get into rendered mode. I'm just gonna change the environment settings so strength can be like a bit reduced. Right. So now the only light which is there is the emission light right here. All right. Okay, let me just play around with it. I don't want the emission strength to be that much. There's a light over here as well. So I'm just gonna get here, bring this light over here, because this light doesn't make sense, right? Because what would there a light be over here? Delete that. So this is our scene right now. As you see, there's no light shining on this on the bottom, because that is why that's the part which I haven't got to yet, which is called the rendering side of things, which is a bit high level for this workshop. Basically, if you guys are gamers, you probably know what I'm talking about. It's more about ray tracing and like the accuracy of light. As of now, you see this light is not reflecting over here, but if I change my render engine, it will. But that's a bit high level, but I'm just gonna leave that for now. So I'm gonna click this, add a light over here soon, so we can like get done with this. Spotlight probably. I'm gonna like increase the thing to like 600, or maybe like the radius maybe. Like reduce the radius. Maybe that much. Wait, what just happened? All right, I'm just gonna get back here now. As you see, there's no, it's still dark. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some light inside on the top of the add some area lights here. I'm going to duplicate it and add some over here. And I'm going to duplicate another one, add some over here, and duplicate again, add some over here. It doesn't matter. Seriously, it doesn't matter where the lights are. I'm probably going to add another sun as well. So I don't need the sun to be that bright. And also it's not a sun. This is going to make like a bit yellowish, kind of dystopian, kind of pretty light. Make it like 0.01 maybe. Or maybe a little bit. Yeah, that seems good. I'm going to keep my camera. Maybe a little bit lesser. 0.01 again, I guess. And then I'll just change the color to like maybe something yellowish. Let's add some volume. So volumes are basically like adding smoke sort of thing. So let's say go to volume here, and then add some volume scatter. So what happens when I do that is that there's a volume scatter thing going on where everything is dark because the density is too high. So if I just reduce the density, keep it like 0.1. So now you see what's happening. There's a smoke, and you see the cone of the light which is falling. And also, obviously, the lampposts are not white colors, so I'm just gonna fix that over here. Gonna make it a yellow color. And even these are not. I don't want them to be like yellow. I'm trying to make them like a greenish. Gonna click the next area. Click something here. Maybe this can be a bit more yellow. Right. And maybe I'll just add another kind of area light. So this is how I'm lighting my scene right now. I'm just placing different lights and seeing how it looks. So I'm just gonna add some weird blue light, add like 1500. That's a bit too much, I guess. So you see what's happening? So now if I just move my camera, now I can like place my camera somewhere. So now this is a 3D scene right now. I mean, I wanted to get into more detail about like the roughness of the road and like the wet, how to make puddles and everything. But I guess we are running out of time, and I want to get into like some things which you guys might find very useful. So yeah, so this is basically how people make 3D art. So now you see this looks pretty real. Like, I mean, obviously not that real. I mean, if you just tweak with some settings, there's a lot of work which goes into this, because you have to like take care of the lights and like maybe change the lights colors and correctly like change it to like yellow and all that. Or if you want, let's say you want to add your name or something on it, and I'm going to rotate it by 90 degrees, x 90, and I'm going to go into edit mode. Let's see, Blender workshop. All right, and I'm going to get off edit mode, and I'm going to like place it over here. I'm just going to place this like RZ. That's it. Scale it. I'm going to keep that. I'm going to place this here. I know it's kind of random, but then it's going to look interesting. So let's see. Let's give it an emission texture as well. I'm going to put a new material, emission. All right. So we don't need the principal BSDF. Just put it over here. Connect. And probably like a red color would do. I'm going to also increase the strength. All right. We can tweak the thickness of we can even change the fonts if we want to, but I mean, the font settings is right here. You just click a new thing and click a new font. Let's see, I want something like that, or maybe like something like this would do. Oh, perfect. Okay, I'm gonna come here. I'm gonna set my camera up, and hey, what's that? What's this thing over here? Okay, there's some weird thing going on with the N for some reason. Okay, that's probably the font. Let me just fix that. I'm just gonna take another font. How about this? Yeah, I think that's that doesn't look good. Let's see. How about this one? Yeah, this one. So I'm just gonna increase the strength a little bit over there, and maybe like make it a bit more red. Play around with the colors a bit. Oh wait, actually this one looks better. Yeah, I click the camera. Yeah, I guess that's kind of like a scene, and I kind of like it. And okay, now if I want to like render it as an image, I'm just gonna go click render, and I'm gonna click render as image. Now render as animation is a bit higher, and I could have got to that, but it's a bit high level. Like you have to I have to learn how to animate things. I really wanted to get to that in this workshop, but I really have to like speed this up. So if I just click render as image, I should just check my render settings over here. Sampling and all that are usually for quality concerns, but you can get into that once you get actually into 3D art when you want to render things. It takes a while. Voila. So that's an image, and I can basically save it anywhere I want and wherever I want. Like, let's say I want to save it as demo rendered. I want to save it over here, and yeah, that's an image. So that's basically how the workflow for like 3D art goes. So now you kind of understand when I'm showing you things over here, right? When I'm showing you things on my Instagram, all these things are basically made like that. I mean, it takes time to make these things. Like you need to like, for example, this one where I'm just gonna switch on the audio. All these buildings and everything are stuff which I sat and made during COVID. And this is a building from my college. You guys can actually make 3D models of your house or your study room or your college or like whatever you want, and things like that. And basically that's what I spent my entire lockdown doing, just making these things. And now I really want to get into the part which is apart from Blender is, so I'm going to end the Blender side of things. I hope you guys understood, like what the workflow looks like, and kind of demystified like how 3D artists actually make these environments and everything. So now I'm going to get into like the part which could be useful for you guys, even if you guys don't want to be in 3D, right? So I'm just going to close Blender at this point. All right. Close this. So let's get into things like, okay, so this is my ArtStation page. So I'm just gonna like, so basically this is where I showcase most of my artworks. Now I'm just want to get into another section talking about freelancing, right? Now, okay, I'll just stop screen sharing for now. I'll just get back to that. I'll just like, explain something. So basically my story of how, like I've been like desperate to like get into freelancing for quite some time now. Now I'll tell you why you need, like, you don't need freelancing, but if you really want a side hustle, if you want like a side income when you're in your college, right? You can be first year, you can be in second year, third year, anything. You can make 3D art and get paid for it. I mean, just because this is a Blender workshop, I'm telling it respect to 3D art, but I'm telling you, you guys can, if you guys, like get into freelancing for anything, like let's say you guys in computer science, you guys can be like web design, app design, or prototyping, product design. You guys can freelance when you're in college and actually start making money like when you're in college. And this is, I'm not selling you some weird scam stuff, which is some make money fast or something. This is like proper thing where you're using your skills put to use and actually making money off it. So my freelance thing started with, so let's go back to my Instagram. I'm just going to share my screen again. So if you guys can see my screen. Okay. So I started making 3D art around this time last year, around March last year. And you might be wondering, like, how did I get into freelance like with just 1 year of experience? I mean, I'm telling you that's possible. So before that, my Instagram used to be just a personal page with just my own personal artworks. Like just I used to be into 2D art. I used to make like very like using color pencils and all that. So I do have a background of using like fine art as a background to understand better about design and all that. So when I got to 3D, it was a bit easier for me. But one thing was always constant is I always wanted to have like a freelance thing going on. So I never expected that I would actually get into freelance when I started 3D. So I started 3D and I kept making things just because I found them cool. Okay, that's one thing I need to like emphasize is that if you guys want to get into freelance, try getting into something which you guys actually really like doing. For example, the 3D art is something I really like doing, and I kept doing it. So I kept posting things like around like every week or like once or twice a month or something, and around like this many posts. Let's say like one, like starting from here, this being my first post. I have a link to the tutorial for this one if you guys are interested. Obviously, it's Spider-Man. I know. I have a link to that. You guys can check it out. But so basically, I kept posting it, and then the most weird thing happened. Some guy reached out to me and he's like, "Dude, can you make me a 3D art?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And that's kind of how my whole freelance thing started. And as weird as it may sound, that's how freelance usually works. Now, the other way of getting to freelance is by using websites like Upwork or other things like Fiverr. So Upwork and Fiverr are like mainly freelance websites. Basically, you make a profile, you make some profiles like I will make a 3D logo and animation. I will make 3D animation model the composition. I'll make isometric illustration. These are my profiles. So you can put some price for it, and someone might come and like buy from you. For example, if I switch to buying, you see there are so many people online who are actually putting out their advertising their skills to actually get hired by people. For example, I will create a captivating video with graphics. So if I just click this and person, and his cost is 13,000. So if I pay him 30,000, he's gonna make. So this is his demo profile, and basically he will make me a video depending on what I want. So basically, this is how freelancing works. and similar upward reverse of it, where the customer actually puts a request. Let's say I want a sneaker to be depicted on an epic stage, and blah 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 blah. So now I have to send him a proposal that, hey, I can do this. Do you can you give me this job, or like can you give me this gig? So in freelance, it's usually called gigs, not jobs. But anyway, so I can send a job proposal or like a gig one. Need a logo design for, so this guy needs a logo design, so I can submit a proposal. And if he, because I'm not the only who's sending the proposal, there are like 15 to 20 proposals who have already sent. So the customer gets to choose from who they want to hire. So depending on your profile, they get to choose like who they want to hire and what they want to do. So these are like two very popular websites which actually use for freelancing and everything. But I'll tell you what I realized, okay, is that when I am sending proposals, okay, it's fine. I mean, it's fine that I'm sending proposals, that's fine. But I found the better way, at least a self-satisfying way of getting into freelancing is by making a social profile. And trust me when I say this, in 2021, right, making a social profile is so important. I mean, I know there'll be many people telling you social media is bad, or like social media is that, this, it's a waste of time, it's that, this, but so many things. I'm telling you, like last March, I had around 500 followers. And since the day I started posting 3D art, and I decided I will become more consistent in making more 3D art, my user base, my follower base actually constantly started growing. And as my follower base started increasing, and I started getting more gigs. For example, I have 2 gigs running right now. And so these are organic customers who actually see my profile and look at my work and come to me and be like, hey, can I need something made. I want you to make something for me. Can you make it for me? And I'll pay you to do that. So that is how I got into freelancing. And as hard, I know you guys might have some sort of resistance to begin with something, but I'll tell you something. When it comes to freelancing, it's not like you're like a one-man thing. Your friends are a bit involved as well, in the sense that when you're in college, you have the right time to freelance because you have most of your followers initially are usually friends, right? So basically what happened was, I didn't expect this to happen, but when I started posting these videos, if you look at this video, this is kind of very, very shitty video. It's like, it's all right. It's for a beginner, it's okay. Compared to the videos I do now, it's kind of bad, okay? This video right now. This is the first video which I posted. But then the thing is that my friends actually support me a lot when I'm posting these things. And as I progressed, my skills kept improving, and eventually I got to a point where I am pretty self-sufficient with using the software and I'm just doing my thing. But until then, like, it's your friends who are supporting, they're sharing your profile on, like on their stories and everything. And that's how you gain your user base. And honestly speaking, that's kind of how you begin with I'm not telling you guys have to run behind, give me more followers. No, I'm not telling you guys to do that. I'm just telling that if you guys stay consistent in posting something about your skill, I'm not talking about selfies of yourself and all that. I'm talking about, if you have a skill, just post it on Instagram or any sort of social media where your friends are. And trust me on this, you guys will see kind of support which you guys will never get. Like, for example, I am a guy who stays in the room a lot. Okay, I go out very rarely, and sitting in the room, there's not much I can do. So basically, I make 3D art and just post here. And my friends are the ones who keep supporting me. And trust me, I can't mention it enough how much this support means, because once they start sharing it to people, and that's how customers find you. Your followers are your route to getting. So you don't have to look at it in a more business point of view, but I'm just telling you that even if you're getting into like computer science, let's say web dev or app dev, you can start documenting your progress. Let's say, hey, so you can post something around, today I was learning this thing, today I was learning about this thing, and I made a website, I made a app, I made some, some art, or let's say you can even freelance with fine art for that matter, or even 2D art or whatever you want. Literally any skill you have, just keep posting it on Instagram or any social media. Okay, just because it will, accountable to show progress. Let's say I made this video, and let's say my next video is bad, then people are not respond accordingly. Okay, and obviously you're gonna the statistics is gonna help you see, okay, fine, so I see I've not made progress, and that's why people don't like this new video. So let me make something better. So I make something better, and people actually respond, and that keeps you going. Okay, and if someone tells you that this is bad, just tell them to talk to me or something. I don't know, because trust me, your progress is exponential when you start posting it on Instagram or any sort of social media, and you start showing progress, because it keeps you accountable. Because if I don't post it, it's probably going to sit in my laptop and I'm not going to get any customers. Now you can also be like, hey, you can even put it on your LinkedIn or something, hey, I'm doing 3D art or something. But then what if you don't post anything? If you don't post anything, someone who comes and looks at your profile is going to be like, okay, this guy doesn't look like a 3D artist. He doesn't have anything on his page. Why should I give him a job? Why should I, So it is important, if you want to do some sort of 3D art or something, or any sort of skill you want to show. Let's say, okay, let's say web dev, or even for mechanical students, if you want to make some 3D models and for as a freelance thing, you can start posting about the 3D models you make and post it on your Instagram, like, hey, I made this model, and demonstrate it in a different way, like show some videos about it, or like things like that, and eventually you're gonna progress enough where someone's gonna come to your profile and be like, oh my god, you've made so many artworks. Hey, by the way, I actually want a poster with some 3D art on it, can you make something for me? So that's how customers actually get to know you. So if I hadn't consistently made, this many 3D art, I wouldn't be freelancing right now. And if I wouldn't be freelancing right now, I probably wouldn't be, making as much as I'm making right now. I mean, like, it's not like I'm making some big money or something. I'm like, because I just started freelancing around mid last year. So what I'm trying to say is that freelancing is is an opportunity which you guys could try out when you guys are in college. Why I'm telling you why I'm emphasizing on freelancing is that I know, being a college student, you guys must be having classes all day. You guys must be, like sitting in class studying for academics, just hoping that one day after 4 years of college, you guys are going to get a job where you guys are going to make money, right? But guess what? If you guys have some skill, or you can even start now getting into any sort of skill, music, drawing, 3D art, web dev, app dev, CAD design, anything you want. And if you have a social account, and you can just or you can just make a separate account other than your personal account and start posting over there and make a good following, and you can start earning even in your first year. And for that matter, many freelancers that I have met online are actually people in school. Some school kids have started freelancing. For example, if I just search for this guy named, I know it's 7 o'clock, but just give me like, so this guy, okay, this is a freelance 3D artist. He has 21,000 followers. I don't know where he's from, but he's 14 years old. He's 14 years old. He uses Blender, okay? And look at the kind of things he makes. And he started like pretty recent. Like, look at this. He has like 310 posts, but that's because he's insanely consistent. He posts like probably like one artwork or something per day and all that. And he also makes tutorials. I mean, obviously, that's another way of making money, where you can post on YouTube and make some Patreon account and all that and make money off that. But I'm not getting into that side of things because I'm not experienced with that. But this guy basically does the same thing which I just taught you now. Like he basically makes 3D art, and he does like this Blender right here, like similar things which we did. He renders them, posts them, and he's just a 14-year-old kid, and he has already started earning. So this is why I can't stand but always emphasize the fact that, you know, how good freelance is. For example, this is actually a cover art which I made for this guy. Is this music? Is this a musician who I met online on Instagram? He wanted a cover art for his a song, so I made a cover art for him. And this was for another musician. This is another cover art. And yeah, so basically these are the rest of the things that I made. And yeah, that's about it. And that's about freelance, of course. Now, okay, I know it's already like time, like 7 o'clock, but I'll just wrap it up quick. But now you guys might be wondering, oh, so should I just keep posting and I'll become good? Yeah. Now there's a catch. There's a small catch. Now if I just go to my Instagram again, oh, I think I finished it. Just go to my Instagram. Now now one thing to take care of is people. Okay, I'll give you some context. Okay, whose attention are you trying to get when you're trying to post something on Instagram? Okay, I'm not talking about whose attention are you trying to get when you put your selfie or something. I'm talking about when you're making content for getting a good following so that you can actually get into freelancing, right? This is something that no one told me and I had to figure out myself. Okay, so I made my first video which I put was a Spider-Man video. Okay, and that is why I kind of got like a good amount of like review when I first put it. Now what I'm coming at is that you might have your own interests as well. You can post stuff regarding that, but if you want to get a good audience and if you want to get it a bit fast without any sort of weird scam activities and everything, without any sort of auto following bots and everything, in a most organic way, you need to appeal to your audience. In the sense, make what your audience likes. At least for the initial stage, it's how it's going to be. For example, I made my building which is there, this building which is called Student Plaza, which is there in my college. For example, if I just search like MIT Manipal Student Plaza. So this is the building which I made. You just see here. This building right here. I know it's kind of fancy and all that, but it's a nice place anyways. So I made that building on Blender. It took like a week for me to make the entire thing and do the material and everything. And once I had the model, okay, in that reality, like I was talking about this whole 3D reality, right? You can basically do anything with that model, okay? For example, for fun, right? Because now you have a model of the building. Why not just, put a meteor through it? I mean, there's a video which it's just for fun. So, I mean, I know it's college property and all that, but it's just for fun, right? And this is another video. Like this is another project. This was one of my biggest project where I turned my entire Student Plaza building into this sci-fi thing, and that was one of my most popular things. And yeah, so what I'm saying is you need to appeal to your audience. So what I have done here, my audience was primarily my college friends, right? So I made something which was relating to my college. Okay, so when I made this, people started sharing it. Okay, the context, right? Now everyone finds it relatable, so people start sharing it. So okay, let me give you an example what you could do. You could make something from your college. I mean, obviously try not breaking things because teachers might not like it, but it's for fun, right? It's just for fun. It's just self-expression. It's just art, right? Now you could even, let's say you're doing web design. You could try recreating Apple's website or something which, like, let's say now when Among Us, the game became popular, you could, even if you're making an app dev or something, you could try giving some, Among Us design or something, some weird quirk, something which is kind of trendy or something which people relate to in the immediate, sense. So let's say for Valentine's Day, I posted this thing, which is, you know, like a brain looking at Valentine's Day, kind of philosophical kind of things like that. But anyways, depending on the context, right? So it's Valentine's Day, so I post something relating to it. So that's that. And you know, when the WhatsApp and Signal thing happened, I made something relating WhatsApp. And shares in the sense you're trying to show more people what you can do. And by doing that, you're able to increase your follower base, and in turn you get to do freelance. And it's, trust me, it's one of the most fulfilling things to actually earn through your own skill without depending on anyone else. And trust me, it's one of the best things you can do if you're in college, and if you feel that academics is getting a bit, I wouldn't say boring, I don't want to like throw some shade on that, but I would say one thing to focus on would be your skills apart from academics, because at the end of 4 years you have studied only the degree, whatever degree you have come for. But in the end, what actually matters is what you as an individual can actually do. And how you can actually do is by going to workshops like this, where people teach you new things, give you new perspective, make you look in in different ways, like, oh, you can do this, you can do that. And sometimes you might like something and you might pick that up, and that might change your entire career. I mean, I'm in industrial production, which is basically mechanical, but the path I am going after college is more relating to virtual reality and augmented reality. That is because of Blender. Like, just like finding this software called Blender completely changed my life. Like, it's a hobby. It's a hobby which turned into a kind of a earning thing. And what is more better than that, right? Like, if you can turn your skill and what you like to do into a money-making machine. Not in the greedy sense. In the end, money is important. You need to earn your daily bread, right? And why not start when you're in college? Like, you have skills, you can start, and there's no one stopping you. And it's the potential is just up to how much you are willing to try. So that's kind of what I wanted to like tell about my story, is that Blender as a software is not something I started long ago or something. It's something I learned during lockdown, and I have been able to monetize it with the help of social media, of course. And I hope that you guys actually learn something that, and you guys start earning when you are in college itself without depending on anyone, and try becoming financially independent in that way, And if you guys ever need some help regarding how you guys can go about freelance and things like that, you guys can always approach me on my Instagram or any other social. I'll just link it on this. I'll just add the links over here to my socials. So that's the end of the Blender and the freelance part. And okay, maybe like just give me another minute. Is that if you guys were wondering, like, how do you come up with ideas? This is more on the art side of things. Okay. I know I'm stretching this a bit too much, but something which I wanted to mention, which I found interesting along the years, and I really want to give it to you guys, is that there's nothing called original idea. Okay. There's nothing called original idea. I mean, I had a phase where I was in search of original idea. I want to make something which no one has seen before. And my conclusion is that there is nothing called original idea. Like, if you think about it, every idea you actually have right now is basically a mix-up of multiple ideas. Now, there is this like Steve Jobs speech where he puts it in the best way possible, and it's like it's actually one of my favorite definition for what an artist is. So the definition of artist that I personally like is that there are 3 stages. Okay. Observing, processing, and reproducing. Okay, I'll give okay, let's say a blue elephant. Okay, by telling the word blue elephant. Okay, I'll just switch off my screen just a sec. Okay. Okay, so by telling the word blue elephant, okay, I have put an image in your head. Okay, you guys are having image in your head like a blue elephant. Probably some of you have a big blue elephant, or maybe like an animated blue elephant, or like a cartoonish, or like anything. So that is what's happening in the second stage. That is the processing. So now you guys have memories and you guys have so many experiences before. So what happens is whatever you observe, let's say you look at something, you have an opinion about it, you have some feelings about it, and that gets processed, that bounces off different memories, and you have a new version of it in your head. Let's say you're looking at your laptop, but then now you just focus on your laptop, observe your laptop, it bounces off in your head and with different memories, experiences, and it turns into a new image. Now everyone observing and processing. But when someone's able to reproduce that feeling or this new idea which has been processed in a using a medium, it can be anything. It can be 3D art, it can be painting, it can be writing, it can be music, it can be, you name it. It can be engineering, design. If you can represent it in a new medium, then that person is called an artist. Like even engineers are kind of an artist for that matter. Okay, so that's like my best definition of artist, which kind of makes the speech which I was talking about, is that the processing part is the part which gives you new ideas, because creativity as such is basically connection between two unrelated topics. Now if you have to have two unrelated topics, if you need to connect it, there's a catch over here. Now each experience that you have with different people, it basically, okay, let's assume it to be like a skyscraper or like a city. Okay, let's say your friends are there, you are there, and each of your experiences are buildings. Okay, so let's say my building is like 7-story tall. Okay, each of my experiences is a floor. All right, I think my voice is becoming a bit hoarse by now, but anyways, so each of my experience becomes a floor. All right, now for a person who has so many experiences and has met a lot of different people, has got a lot of different perspectives, he is very tall, like he's sitting on a skyscraper. Whereas someone who doesn't have that many experience, doesn't consider new perspective, doesn't talk to different people, who talks to the same kind of comfort zone and not trying to gain new ideas from other people, has a very small building. So let's say someone randomly comes with a problem. Hey, connect the dots from this point in the city A to another point in the city B. The person sitting on top is going to look down and be like, hey, that's obvious, dude. A to B. He knows the route. He can look at it. But the person sitting on the bottom is going to be like, he's going to look at the, like the guy on top of it. How did you know that? How? I can't see anything. How did everything's blocking my view? I don't know how you went from A to B. So basically, that's how, if you ask any person who's creative, like, dude, how did you come up with that idea? That person's gonna be like, I don't know. It just came to me. I was just thinking about it. The reason is because they are able to think of unrelated things and make connections between them. And that comes only by actually meeting new people, getting new perspective, and it's a process. It's a long process of creating new experiences. What I'm saying is that you guys might be in a different state of mind right now, online classes, but try meeting new people. If you're sitting in a peer group who think the same way, creatively, it's going to be a bit limiting. Try to meet as many as people as possible, as many different people. Try getting opposing opinions and try taking every kind of opinion, process it in your head, try to understand things, reflect upon them, and try to see where new perspectives can take you. Go travel places and get into philosophy, get into the most weirdest thing possible, poetry or any sort of thing which can influence your thinking, right? The more perspectives you have, the more ways of more filters you have to, let's say I want to put a new filter and look at the world in a new way, and that's how you create new ideas. So there's no other way to be creative at all. You just need to create new ideas. You just need to get new experiences and new make your skyscraper go high and high and high. So if you get a problem, you know how to solve the problem because you have had enough experience and met enough people, met enough perspectives, books. Social media is also an amazing place for finding diverse people, especially if you're making a good following. The people who follow you will be people who are interested in your things and people who appreciate your things, and you get to meet different people. And I can't tell you how amazing it feels when you start seeing so much diversity. And yeah, so what I'm gonna say to finish this workshop, which I've already gone 22 minutes late by now, is that I'm assuming you guys in first year and second year and stuff like that. In the rest of the college time, try to meet people who you have never met before. Try to just don't be in the comfort zone. Just break the comfort zone. Go meet people because these new experiences is going to be harder to get once you're done with college. And college is the best place to like go get new people because there are so many people, so many departments. Meet people from different departments, different fields. Because I'm telling you, there are so many people sitting in their rooms and doing interesting things, but they're not telling it out. Probably they're not posting it on social media. They're just doing it for themselves. Try do interesting things. Get in touch with them, not for monetary, not for taking advantage of them, but to get that perspective. Try to understand how did you learn this new thing? How did you find this thing? How did you where did you learn this from? Ask questions. Ask as many as questions as possible. Asking questions is not wrong at all. And to be honest, like I know I went through the workshop a bit fast and kind of rushed and probably didn't cover a lot of topics like the video side of things, but I'm hoping I have given you a start into what 3D art looks like, insanely beautiful things, and how to think a bit differently, and most importantly, how to get into a freelance thing and start earning, for yourself and using your own skill when you're studying in college. Like just because you're in college doesn't mean you're not worthy to, make anything or like earn. You just need to try. That's it. Okay. So with that, I guess that's the end of my workshop. And there's a feedback form on the chat if you guys have noticed. Just fill it up. And if I'm not wrong, hello Jagdish, are you still there?
Yes, Abhijit. I request all participants to fill the feedback form. It has been posted in the chat window. Please all fill it because the response will be used to record your attendance and give the workshop certificate as well post the session. Meanwhile, Abhijit, shall we go to the question answer session, short question answer session? I think there are around 5 questions.
Sure.
So the first question is, how long does it take for one to master Blender and the average time taken for a project? Now, I think you have already answered this because in just 1 year of starting Blender, the the amount of heights you have reached. So that's a testimony for this question, and the average time for the project as well.
I would like to add a small thing to it. Is that I was talking about the context thing, right? Context in the sense that similar to to my college. I made that because I wanted to do it. In the sense, when you usually start in Blender, I've actually put some links on that the Milanote thing. The usual procedure for Blender is usually going by this thing called the donut tutorial. Like the first tutorial people usually start with in Blender is the donut tutorial. And that is not something which I found interesting, okay? And it's my personal thing is that if you want to learn anything, try to find a project. Like try to find a project which, in the sense, not under some faculty or something like that. I'm talking about for yourself. Try to find something which you actually like. And that is why on my Instagram, my first project was Spider-Man, because I personally like, like pop culture and Spider-Man and all that. So that is the first thing I made. And I had the motivation to finish the project. So my motivation was not to sit and learn the software. My motivation was to finish and make that video. So on my way, I learned the software and I just learned what all I need to learn for that specific thing. So I would say if you want to learn quicker, if you want to speed up your process of learning, just find projects that you like. Let's say you're into Harry Potter. Find some project. Let's say for web dev, make a Harry Potter website or something like that. Make a app which has all Harry Potter spells or things like that. Anything which you like. If you like gaming, make something related to gaming. Make let's say even in 3D art, only make things what you like. Only then you will be able to finish that first. And once you finish that first project, you will automatically get a hang of the software. Like learning the software should not be the main focus. Finishing projects should be the focus, and on the way you will just for that matter, I don't know many tools in Blender even now, but different projects which I like, I have just familiarized myself with the different tools whichever I need for that specific project. Like if you want to make a website, you don't need to learn 4 years of computer science. You just need to learn web dev, probably like some languages and some APIs and all. You don't need to know all of it. You just need to know specific things for that specific project. So yeah, that's about it.
Yes, Abhijit. The second question is, can you tell us about the future of choosing this field as a career? And you actually talked about that when you talked about freelancing. So maybe
Okay.
on a more industrial point of view, if there is any definitive.
All right. So obviously when I started Blender, even I had the same question that what can I get a job this time? So through a family member, I got in touch with a person from Rockstar Games. If you guys are into gaming, you probably know the word Rockstar Games. Like there's no way you guys probably not know the word Rockstar Games. So I was talking to them about how the job works there and all that. So so there are many ways you can get into the industry. So the smallest way is freelance, of course, the most obvious way, on your own, no depending on anyone else, just your laptop and yourself sitting in a room just making things. Second way is by forming a studio or joining a studio. Like you can form a small studio with your friends. Like studio doesn't need to be like a big thing. You can just sit in a room and just call it a studio or something like that. Or you can join a studio by applying for it. For that, you need to make a portfolio. And how do you make a portfolio? Is by making projects like how I have made. So there's a small catch because I am eyeing for freelance, right? For freelance, you need finished projects. Like I can't simply make a lamp post and call it free. Yeah, okay, fine. Now I'm ready to get into freelance. I need to make artworks. I need to make finished artworks, like a complete environment or complete image which looks good, and only then I can get into freelancing. But then it's different when it comes to going for job. So when I was talking to this guy from Rockstar, the gaming company, because gaming and animation and Blender all go hand in hand actually. So your job profiles could be in the game field, or virtual reality, augmented reality, or animation like Disney, Pixar, whatever you want. Now, your portfolio matters a lot when it comes to joining the industry, when you're using 3D art specifically. So if you want to become an animator, let's say a character animator, your portfolio should be primarily animations. It doesn't matter if you can color something. It doesn't matter if you can make beautiful things. If your animations is bad, they probably won't take you. So depending on what you want to become, let's say, like I am more interested in environment. So if I want to become an environment artist, the environments I make should be the primary focus of my portfolio. Portfolio can matter. It can be either a documented thing, or you could like make a complete PDF, or like depending on the requirement of whatever company or whatever studio you're applying for. All right. So other job things, like smaller studios actually take in people who freelance as well. So smaller studios are kind of flexible. You can actually check out this studio called Ecosaurus. It's something which I was following recently, and I met the people over there. They're a small studio, which actually make ads and everything, which run on TV, and using 3D and 2D, both hybrid. And they actually take freelancers and they actually take them as full-time workers. I mean, full-time employees in their studio. So that is a possibility. And apart from just being in animation, gaming, and just making videos and artworks, new fields are augmented reality and virtual reality. Trust me, these are the new technologies which, I mean, I am probably going towards virtual reality, though I have animation and artworks as a freelance thing. So virtual reality and augmented reality usually are put under the section of gaming, but the how you build for gaming is different compared to like virtual realities. So I'm just giving you the keywords. I don't want to get too much deep into it. If you guys want more info about it, you guys can DM me about it. I will give you as much as info as possible. I'm doing an internship in virtual reality right now, so I can give you some details about that if you guys DM me later, things like that. I hope that answered the question.
Yes, Abhijit. Now, the next question is a bit more technical one. Can we integrate a programming language with Blender?
Yes, exactly. So that's the best thing about it being an open source project. So Blender, you can find the complete source on its GitHub. Okay. Obviously, like computer science students might be very interested here, is that you can make your own plugins for Blender, and for that matter, if you guys have heard of GSOC, which is Google Summer of Code, it's a Google internship where just check it out. It's GSOC. Okay, it's one of the most prominent internships by Google. Blender is so Blender is actually a part of it where people can work on Blender and make improvements for it and work on it on the code side of things. And Blender as a community, right? It's not only a 3D artist community, it's a coding community as well. For example, if you just go to YouTube and search for Blender videos, the official Blender videos, there are not only art videos, there are coding videos as well, where like people are discussing about, so they have like code meetups and everything where Blender programmers actually meet and they try to make the Blender code better, because it's an open source project. So everyone around the planet is trying to, like contribute towards this project. And people, other than that, people even make third-party add-ons which you can add to Blender. For example, in that in one of the project files which I showed you, some plants are not made by hand by me. It's used by an add-on, which actually I can just click a point and it makes a plant over there. It actually saves a lot of time. Okay, so that kind of add-ons, and people can make different kinds of add-ons for making landscapes, or like so many things like that. So many add-ons for Blender. So the programmers can work on that. Now there's another part where programmers can come, is that one part which I didn't show in the workshop is that there is a scripting. There's a scripting. Wait, I'll just switch to that if I can. One sec. I actually closed Blender. Maybe not. So Blender has another window, another section called the scripting section, where you can type out your entire, because Blender is written in Python programming language. So you can basically do simulations. Like, let's say you want to simulate a traffic using code, okay, not using animations. So you can type out your entire Python script. You can run a code which basically does this traffic simulation, or a lot of things. You can, yeah, I'm kind of losing out on examples to give, but I've seen people do very cool things using the code advantage. Tweak the code which when Blender is running, and tweak what happens there, or make simulations, or also another thing which I didn't get into in the workshop was physics simulations, where you can do wind simulation and other rigid body and particle systems and all that. These things can be tweaked with the code, and you can do so many things. People even use Blender for research sometimes. I know. I once saw a doctor use Blender to actually segment a 3D model of a skull, which was scanned from an actual human body. So this is actually some parts of my internship, which don't want to get that deep into it because it's too technical and all that. But just hit me up on Instagram or just email me. I will be happy to let you know more about that. But yeah, programmers can definitely get on Blender and make some cool stuff for that.
That's awesome. So the last and final question is, which render engine did you use for rendering your projects?
Okay, so I'm guessing some people have used Blender then. Okay, cool. I mean, because this question is very unlikely if not. So the render engine, which I was like I was telling you, there's this thing called EV, right? In Blender, there are two main render engines called EV, okay, EEVEE, and another thing called Cycles. All right. Now, trust me when I say this. When you're in college, try to make friends with gamers, okay? Especially PC gamers, because PC gamers know a lot about hardware and software. They just know it because if you have to be a gamer, you just have to know how hardware works and how software works, because or else you won't be able to run all games on it. So why I'm telling you that is the rendering difference, okay? EV is fakes the rendering. So the rendering which I was showing you right now was a fake. And EV is mostly what I used a lot because EV is real time. Real time in the sense it renders immediately. It doesn't take time. And if any of you are in the 3D field right now, you guys must be knowing how long it takes to render images. Like how you saw when I clicked render image, it took like some 5-6 seconds to render that image. Now think about rendering a video. Now a small introduction to how a video is rendered is that it renders frame by frame. Now, let's say I want to render a video at 30 frames per second. That's 30 images. So if it takes 5 seconds for one image to render, you can kind of do the math of how long it will take to make a 4-second video itself, which is like 120 frames. And like 120 multiplied by 5, and that's like 600 seconds. And that's like 10 minutes or something. And so 10 minutes for rendering a 4-second video. So, and then depending on the complexity of the scene, sometimes some of my renders have gone till 1 minute per image. So those I have to let my laptop render overnight. So that usually happens when I'm using this render engine called Cycles, and I rarely use Cycles, but I have used Cycles a lot in the recent times. But primarily I use the EV because it saves a lot of time, and it saves a lot of like my laptop can't run whole day because I need to go places, I need to get a lot of stuff done. So I primarily depend on EV because it's in real time. You guys can check out about what's the difference between ray tracing and rasterization. Just Google about it. Ray tracing. It's a big deal in PS5. If you guys have been following the recent PS5 news, like what is so new about it, or like because ray tracing is possible at a more affordable level. So that's something to think about.
Awesome, Abhijit. I hope all the participants, if the participants have any more questions, you can unmute and ask now. Yeah, we are nearing towards the end of the session, and I hope everyone has filled in the feedback form. It will be really useful for us, and it will be used for giving the workshop certificates as well. So yeah, thank you, Abhijit, for that fantastic workshop. The live demo was just amazing, and it was beginner friendly as well. Thanks a lot for spending your valuable time for this wonderful session. I'm sure many found Blender interesting, and I'm sure that many are really excited to explore more. So yeah, thanks for giving us an insight into the importance of expression on social media, the need to develop a skill, and as you said, have a side hustle with freelancing, which is both fun and paying. So yeah, there are a lot of takeaways from today's workshop, and I'm sure that all the participants are very well satiated. I thank you once again for all the effort and the hard work.
Thanks for having me. I'll just sign off.
Yes, that was very well put. And yes, thank you again, Abhijit. I'm sure everyone would have been very fascinated with this session. And another very important thing that I think everyone should carry forward from this session is the passion with which he speaks about something that he does. So it's very important to be very passionate about what you do and being consistent at what you do. I think these are some of the points that everyone can take away from this session. And thank you so much, Abhijit, for your time and for this session. I'm sure everyone would have found it very useful as well as interesting. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much for having me.
Sure, of course, it's our pleasure.
Yeah, the pleasure is ours. I have also posted the question answer session, the document for the participants. You can view it later as well. So yeah, I guess that's a wrap. If anyone has anything else to add, you may do so now.
Just the link which I actually put in the beginning of the class, I'll just resend that. So you'll get all the tutorials which I usually follow for learning material if you guys want to continue. And trust me, there are some tutorials which are very easy. Like you can just make it in a minute or something like that and make some amazing artworks. And yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Abhijit, and thank you, Jagdish, too, for this organizing this wonderful session.
Thank you.
Yeah, all right.
Thank you all participants for attending. It's a pleasure having you here. And we'll meet you in our next session.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Bye.